Let me give you a little history. One of these jets is not like the others. So, I put my first bike on methanol back in 1987. And at that time, there was so little information that could be gathered about what needed to be done to successfully get a 250R onto methanol. And so that was a learning experience. It kind of an expensive one at that. But I figured it out and ran through with methanol from that time forward. Then we come into the early 2000s, 2001, and by this time I have determined that all the carbureting solutions, or all the carburetor solutions for methanol, were just poor attempts at actually making something right. So I decided that I would use some of my technology and some of my friends' learning in flow dynamics and everything, and with much experimentation we came up with the first superjet. And this thing was an absolute game changer, where people would install, you know, 2 or 3 power jets to be able to fuel a carburetor in what we do. This would take care of it by itself, and it atomized the fuel really well, but it had to be put in a kind of an awkward angle. So this would have been representative of the version 1 superjet. And then later on I changed to this one right here, which was still a superjet. I think this was version 9, and this had a 2-piece top that was pressed together with an O-ring inside, and that turned out to be kind of a mistake because the O-ring would eventually swell up, and that was really hard to turn the valve. These were pretty hard to turn after a long time use too. So in 2015 I came up with the first Megajet, and the Megajet was basically a copy of the Superjets, but it used a seal that would go on the outside, which is actually the valve guide seal off of a motorcycle. And that really helped. It cured the problem of any leakage, and they didn't get hard. But the problem was with these is that this particular design, because I changed some stuff internally, would just flow way too much fuel, and it didn't atomize it enough. And so there were these. Fortunately, I only built a few of these, and we tried them on a few bikes, and they just didn't turn out to work very well. But I had people ask me all the time, well, what about the methanol power jets that you made? And so a couple of months ago, I decided, because I'm setting up a couple of big bikes on methanol again, I'm like, you know what? I know there's a much better design, but I was never able to produce it before until now, and that would be this right here. So this incorporates the external seal. It also uses a linear taper on the needle, which means with a straight taper, your first couple of turns give you the most amount of fuel, and after that, you're just turning it to make yourself feel better, pretty much. I always say it's kind of like wearing a condom with a hole on it. Makes you feel good, doesn't really accomplish anything. So it's a straight valve is terrible. There's no linearity to it. So this has a parabolic curve to the needle, and so 2 turns is twice as much fuel as 1 turn, and 3 turns it's 3 times as much fuel, all the way up to 6 turns. The biggest thing about the latest iteration is you can see the size of what would stick down into the carburetor, and you notice this is much smaller, but here's the biggest difference. And this is called the wing jet, and when I show it to you, it'll make perfect sense why. This makes really good use of how the airflow comes around here and converges. These things atomize like crazy. Now, they do not flow as much as this, and they flow a little bit less than these, the original ones. But like I said, this thing would make up for 3 regular power jets. So this is more than enough for most of the applications that we run. We're going to actually be installing these into the methanol bikes that we're bringing to the ride this year, and I think this is going to be really good.